Watching a lot of top games, like with top quality teams. I watched Spurs, Man City. I recently obviously watched the highlights, the extended highlights of Liverpool, Real Madrid, and loads of other really great games, Arsenal, and so on and so forth. And what I've noticed, the difference between them and between us is how dynamic and intentional their play is. They play at such a quicker pace than we play. Like everything is all right, go, sprint. Even the passes are quick passes into feet, take a touch out. And even when they're passing it, it always seems really dynamic, really quick, really fast flowing, really fluid. But I remember against Juve, there was one point where we got to the edge of the box. And I mean, you've got two options there. You can either have a pop or play out wide or whatever. Loads of options. And we just kind of stopped and went back to the centre backs on the halfway line. I'm like, we've already made it to where we want to be on the edge of the box. And we're there now. And I think that's kind of that hesitation, that, not wanting to be the one to lose the ball. I think that's maybe a confidence thing, but it's kind of like seeping in maybe to the mindset. But the thing I've noticed about Villa since we started not playing very well is just how slow we are. And that's the one thing I agree. It would be nice to see us play more fluid football and see where we go from there.
Yeah, I will get to some comments in a second, guys. But yeah, I totally agree. I think, there's times where the crowd are just so quiet and just it's almost like they're just waiting for Villa to do something, and it's just so slow and ponderous. And I know sometimes it's play slow and then go quick, but the trademark, particularly at home, the fast starts and being 1-0 up after 10-15 minutes, particularly under Unai Emery, that was one of the things that we used to do, and it just seems to have gone a little bit. And some of that will be confidence, of course, but I don't know whether it's just conserving energy or what. But the problem is it's so hard then to if you're playing in that kind of calm and controlled mode. If you go 1-0 down, it's really difficult to then jump back to go into speed mode and just being, because then you get desperate, then you start trying to force it, and against Palace, it was like that, we tried to be all controlled and calm and composed on the ball, go 1-0 down, and then all of a sudden it's like, right, shit, we need to get back into this game now, the crowd get a bit edgy, and then all of a sudden we're forcing passes, we're firing balls into each other. And it's not. You can be fast and purposeful, but then it becomes forced and tense, and that's the problem.
The only thing I disagree with you on that is when we played Palace, and it was at 2-2. You think, right, okay, now the onus is on us. Let's go and get the winner.
Yeah.
We were still playing keep ball at the back at 90 minutes, and I was screaming. I was like, get up.
Go for it. Yeah. It's momentum as well, isn't it? That's momentum. The momentum should have been with us. And then Palace should have won that game in the end. We were terrible after we went 2-2.
Well, this is the thing. We were holding onto the ball. And there's a bit of a conundrum here, because Villa have played sort of possession-based football and playing it around, and we've scored some absolutely wonderful goals since Unai Emery's come into the club. And I'm almost at a position like I was watching the game. I was very fortunate to be watching the game next to an old boy called Gary. I think he said he was 86 or 87 or something, and he was the best, man. It was such a joy to watch a game with, and he was fuming at how slowly we were playing. And I kept saying to him, I was like, "No, Gary, this is Emery ball. This is what we do. This is how we've got here. This is what has laid the foundation for our success, is being good at holding the ball and playing out from the back and taking our time, because rushing it doesn't always work." and he came out with something very clever and quippy, which I can't remember, something along the lines of, "I'll probably be dead before they, I'll have died of old age before they bring the ball across the halfway line." And to a certain extent, I do agree with him, but I'm torn between knowing that we need to play faster, but also I don't really want to question Emery. And the thing is, if he came out after the games and he said, we're not really moving the ball as well as I'd like, we're kind of slow, we've identified that there's a problem, or at least acknowledged that we're not playing like maybe the way he wants to play. But every single time he has a post-match press conference, he says, "Yeah, no, they did exactly what I told them to. I'm really happy with the performance. We didn't get the result we deserved, but I really like the way that we played." And in my mind, I'm like, I don't agree, but at the same time, I don't want to question him because he is, the savior, and how dare I?
Yes, I also don't believe him to a certain
I
extent.
the thing is, I was thinking that I'm like, maybe he's just saying it for the cameras, but then again, I'm like, he's pretty convincing. I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
But yeah.
I'd hazard a guess that some of the words behind closed doors are a little bit more cutting, but not necessarily in a bad way, just in an analysis way. Like obviously the players have said they have these long meetings. He'll specifically say areas where they haven't done what he's asked them to do and go into detail in great detail. So yeah, I think part of it is the sort of answers to the media and what he wants to say and what message he wants to convey. But yeah, at the same time, he will have a specific way that he wants them to play, and it's one of those where if you're doing what he's asking you to do, but you make a mistake, then you can accept it. If you make a mistake doing something that he hasn't asked you to do, then he doesn't like it. Like I mean, a couple of years back when Emi Martinez went forward against Arsenal, and he told him
Oh yeah,
specifically not to, and he,
yeah,
he went mad. So yeah, no, you have. It's difficult, isn't it, when you go through these kind of tricky runs where people will maybe start to say, Emery hasn't done this, hasn't done that, should be doing this, should be doing that. But at the same time, he's got us to here. We're in the Champions League. We're ninth we're joint eighth or whatever in the Champions League group. It's still unbelievable with 3 points off third. So it's like it's you can be disappointed and you can raise some questions, but at the same time, we're still in a good position. Lots of teams are beating each other in this Premier League at the moment, and no one, barring say Liverpool and potentially our opponents on Sunday, Chelsea, are performing above what I guess where they're above or at the level where their fans think that they should be performing.
yeah. I mean, I think Forest would disagree with you, and a couple of others, maybe Brighton,
Yeah,
who are really
Forest
like,
Forest have done well. They've had a couple of bad
yeah,
results of late. I mean, certainly a couple of weeks ago they were absolutely flying. But
yeah.
yeah,
I think
yeah,
I don't disagree with you. I think it may have sounded as if I was setting myself up to maybe have a pop at Emery at some point, but I'm really not. Like I really do have a lot of faith in what he's doing, and I think what I said earlier was it's not like I look at the team sheet and think, this is you're clearly missing a trick here. You should be doing this and you should be doing this. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know what he can do, and that's kind of my concern is what can you really do to change it up, to mix it up. We clearly have a shortage of certain players in certain positions, or we've got backups who aren't quite up to scratch, not at the level that we need them to be for Champions League and to be competing at the top of the Premier League to try and get back in it next year. Because I'm hoping this isn't just a once in a lifetime visit or dip into the ocean of Champions League. I want it to be something that we do consistently. It's the only way we're going to grow as a club. But it's difficult, and I feel bad for Emery because he's he's clearly putting in the work. Maybe it's Austin McPhee's fault. Who knows?
everything's Austin McPhee's fault.
Is
Yeah,
it just Austin McPhee's fault? I don't know. We
yeah.
had a couple of pretty awful. My favourite set piece routine was the I don't know if you saw it, that corner one where I think it was Bailey, Tielemans, and Luca Dean, maybe there's someone else, and they just all ran by the ball and passed, and then the third one passed it along and along, and it came to came to very
Usually
little.
comes to nothing. Whenever they just put it in the box, we tend to score a goal or have a chance. Whenever they try this elaborate passing it across the edge of the box, we generally concede a goal. So just stick to the put it in the
Well,
mixer.
we've got a player on the bench who's just been nominated for the Puskas Award, so maybe that's it. Maybe Jaden's the answer that we didn't know we had.
Maybe, maybe.